Hi, I thought I'd do a discussion about Fairy Tail. It was going to be, has Fairy Tail decreased in quality, and if so, when did the rot start to set in? But instead I thought I'd tackle an issue which has been affecting the series since back when it was hardly receiving any criticism, and it was at the height of its popularity, and that is Fairy Tail a rip-off of One Piece? Now I'll be honest, I got into Fairy Tail originally because it reminded me so much of One Piece. It had the same vibe, same aesthetic, as if the two were cut from the same cloth. I used to think if Fairy Tail does steal ideas and concepts from One Piece, it only rips off the good stuff, such as the structure, pacing of the arcs, quirky characters and the way they interact, my favourite art style, which is why it appealed to me so much, and hints that it's going to be a big epic story with a lot of mystery, foreshadowing and backstory. At least that's what was implied at the start, when the series had so much promise and potential. Hiro Mashima is one of the few manga artists that has two well-known manga series. One is Fairy Tail and the other is Rave Master, which he made several years before Fairy Tail. I watched Fairy Tail first and then I later watched Rave Master, purely because I liked Fairy Tail so much and it was by the same creator, and after I watched the Rave Master anime, I read the manga because the anime didn't adapt the whole thing, sadly. Even though I think the final arc of Rave Master is a little lackluster, I feel that overall Rave is of a higher quality than Fairy Tail, at least in terms of writing and characterisation. In art, Fairy Tail wins. The art in Rave Master, at least at the start, is pretty poor, but it improves to more or less the same quality as Fairy Tail after the first 100 chapters or so. But I'm getting a little off topic talking about Rave Master. Fairy Tail quickly became more popular than Rave when it started, and I think that is down to the similarities it shared with One Piece when it first began. At the start, Fairy Tail's art was a lot more similar to One Piece than it is now. One of the defining qualities of One Piece's art style is its messiness, and I'm saying that as a good thing. It's extremely charming and easily recognisable. Fairy Tail's art style used to be close to that, but now the characters tend to look cleaner, more well presented, and on the whole the art is more mainstream. The series had more emphasis on adventure and world building back then as well, two things that One Piece does very well. Hiro Mashima tapped into the hype and popularity surrounding One Piece, but kept his series different enough to establish its own fanbase and avoid it getting thrashed by the anime community, or even worse, face something like allegations of copyright infringement. I guess in a similar vein to Family Guy and The Simpsons or Saints Row and GTA. I've heard some Fairy Tail fans make the argument that the only reason people see similarities between One Piece and Fairy Tail is because they were both inspired by Akira Toriyama, but Fairy Tail has more in common with One Piece than One Piece has ever had with Dragon Ball. But isn't comparing One Piece and Fairy Tail kind of pointless? A lot of shonen manga have similar themes. They all have a strong focus on fighting, camaraderie and adventure. Many of the main characters are moulded after Goku, which is redundant but true, and unfortunately they all employ the same cliches, such as power-ups and friendship speeches, although Fairy Tail tends to rely on them so much now, to the point where it's arguably become more similar to My Little Pony than One Piece. But Fairy Tail's similarities to One Piece are far more specific and difficult to ignore than any other series. While lots of protagonists are simple-minded idiots who love to eat, few share an item of clothing given to them by their surrogate father figure, whom they both hope to be reunited with one day. Both series focus on a crew/guild which recruits new members as it grows and becomes more infamous across the world. Fairy Tail has lots of characters and events which have eerie parallels to characters and events from One Piece, but the only one that bothers me in particular is Shanks and Gildarts. There is really no excuse for this. This is a blatant rip-off that I don't think anyone can deny. The only real difference is that Gildarts not only lost an arm but a leg too. Everything else you could put down to pure coincidence. Hiro Mashima is probably so busy he doesn't have time to read One Piece every week, carefully plotting what concept he can steal next. And I know One Piece is not the only thing Hiro Mashima has been accused of stealing from, even himself in some cases, but I think he's allowed to do that. And there are series out there that are far more infamous than Fairy Tail when it comes to lacking originality. It is impossible to be 100% original with the amount of stuff out there, but Hiro Mashima has shown in the past he is capable of writing a series with a strong sense of individuality, with a very much underappreciated Rave Master. So is Fairy Tail a rip-off of One Piece? With the exception of Gildarts, no. Does it lack originality? That's an entirely different discussion.